get down to it, a quick reminder that if you want things in your inbox, we'll put things in your inbox with the Hump Day News newsletter. It's a regular wrap-up of coverage past and content to come, with links, tips, taters, and tots, served up fresh, nice, and hot. And if you're subscribed to the newsletter but not signed up for the Backyard, shame on you. The Backyard is a members-only area at Hump Day News where you'll find all that's best and bizarre at HDN. We've got Mapley Power Rankings, letters from the editor, our incel advice column, and more. Sign up at the Hump Day News to log in and enjoy. All right, we've got Sarah Prusik with us for a little episode overview. As we were coming in from the little social media ad, we had in the background a local punk band Already Dead. It was a clip from them with their new single with Boss the Rapper. We're going to have the full song at the end of this episode, so check it out. Now, Sarah, welcome to the little Humpcast overview.
Thank you. Good to be here.
We are very lucky to have Ted back for his sort of second contribution to Humpcast, and he's going to tell us a little bit about South by Southwest. And I'm going to talk to him a little bit about FOMO, fear of missing out, which I feel like used to be a big thing, but I don't know. Is it a thing anymore? Do people have FOMO? Is it a...
You know who has huge FOMO in my life are my parents. I think our parents have FOMO. Like whenever me and my siblings do anything fun without them, you can sense they're like a little sad and they have fear that they're missing out.
So, I mean, is this a new thing or is this like, oh, they're able to track your goings on more?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's new, but I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's too bad for them, but, you know, they have a fine, full life on their own.
You know, parents just don't always understand.
Oh, I knew you were going there. All right. We'll turn it over to Ted in the regular part of the episode and stick around for the full single from Already Dead and Boss the Rapper at the end of this episode. All right, welcome to the Humpcast, the podcast at Hump Day News. I'm joined here by Ted Chase for a second outing, or depending on how you count it, maybe a fifth outing, because we did a 4-part podcast recently. And what was that about? What were we even talking about, Ted?
That one, that was about end of the year stuff.
Oh, it was like an end of the year wrap up. All right. So we have promised ourselves not to go on that long. So we're going to try to be short and sweet here a little bit as we venture out into a kind of highlights and lowlights of South by Southwest. But first, let's get your introduction in order, Ted, and I'll let you do your introduction this time because last time you complained because I think I highlighted an article or two or something that you didn't like. So anyway, Ted Chase, editor at QRO Magazine. Please, Ted, take it away. Who are you?
I run a website called QROMAG.com, QRO Mag. It covers music. It's more of an alternative indie bent, but cover larger things. Like we do a lot of festival coverage. Like I was at South by Southwest this weekend. May 5th to 7th is Shaking Knees in Atlanta, which is going on as we speak. And there's other stuff in a couple of weeks is Hangout Festival on Gulf Shores. I think that's like 15th to the 17th of May.
What state in the Gulf Shores?
Oh, that's Alabama.
Alabama?
So the town is Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
It's yeah, I mean, it's on the, oh yeah, sorry. The actual name of the town is Gulf Shore. I think.
Nice. Well, I've always loved the festival coverage at QRO Mag. You have people all over the country and sometimes abroad, right? In foreign countries. What's the last foreign festival you guys covered?
We haven't covered as many foreign festivals because the British festivals sort of didn't come back. It was tough after COVID. And it could be a tough time. How much time did it last?
Well, rebounding from COVID is definitely going to be a topic of conversation today. So let's switch gears into what's going to be a kind of frame of our podcast today. Before we get to the highlights and lowlights of South by Southwest, bring up this idea of FOMO, fear of missing out. Because I remember not too long ago, and I think maybe it was the aughts or thereabout, just this really powerful cultural sense of feeling like you were missing out when some of these big name, big time, high end festivals, music festivals were going on, and you could sort of, social media was such that you could sort of follow along, even if you were there, but in a really unsatisfying sort of way, so that you just knew enough about what was going on to feel like you were again missing out. Is FOMO, Ted, is that still a cultural force like it once was today? If so, why? If not, why not?
I mean, it's still an issue, but yeah, it isn't as big as it was 10 years ago. I think a number of things have contributed to that. I think some of it was just that it got extreme, and there was sort of a backlash to the concept of it. And I mean, I think if you want to talk like about like it's like sort of nadir moment was Firefest.
Yeah, right.
Which seemed to be entirely people buying it, going into it with FOMO. If there's one of the two documentaries about it, even talks about FOMO, and then the people who did it, were sort of mocked online. That it so it became that became a where they were where it became about mocking the people who went to things because of FOMO, because they were feared they would miss something out. And
so the FOMO backlash, I like that. And if we take the Firefest as a kind of turning point of sorts, and then there's probably like several turning points in lesser and greater orders. Let me offer a kind of a counter read to this, though. Maybe we've just we're 10 15 years older. Maybe that fire that burns in our loins to be at everything everywhere all at once is just a little bit more mature and sedate. If you ask a 17-year-old or 18-year-old about where they'd rather be, I'm sure it would rather be someplace else. So do you think it's just maybe a little bit of a changed perspective
for
us?
For like us's age, I mean, yeah, I think so. I think it's also social media has aged, where 15 years ago those things looked really good, and now we sort of know better. Know that like through Instagram post, people know to take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
So I think people, that and also I think there's an increasing sympathy for people who are missing out, because it's because some of that FOMO was, it's also like with after the Wall Street crash, a lot of those people who were going there and posting things on Instagram were wealthier, and there became a backlash against them, the influencers, and became more of a sympathy for the people who, there's people who miss out because they literally can't afford it.
Right.
It's so it becomes sort of you're just showing off. It's and also and that became a thing, and also that it's sort of there was a lot of corporations trying to chase that trend 15 years ago, and so they built these big things, and then once the trend turns a bit, corporations sort of back out, or they don't get, because
perhaps nothing can kill the natural enthusiasm about a culturally emergent force quicker than corporate sponsorship. So maybe it was, all of the above factors that we mentioned, but still, at the end of the day, South by Southwest it's still a festival, among many top tier festivals that are bringing together an enormous amount of new music into one place, and it still remains a kind of a mecca of sorts on the festival calendar for musicians from far and wide to come together. So let's seg on over and let's get some highlights and lowlights from you, Ted, on South by Southwest. And honoring this sort of fear of missing out, I, who did not go to South by Southwest, will offer some highlights and maybe lowlights of my time spent in Boston during the festival itself, which I think was March 10th through March 19th. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, the festival, because South by Southwest, it's not like your traditional, out in a field festival. There are both three parts to it. There is a interactive part, which is where the people launch apps and things like that. Like I don't know if Twitter or Instagram launch. Yeah, and that's actually where that's where a lot of the money is. And that's sort of the first week of it. The second week is the music, and then during it is the film festival. And with the music things, but these things take place in sort of different venues or rented spaces or what have you, or theaters around sort of downtown Austin.
Just a swirling swarm of chaos of different sort of media projects and presentations going on, not just music, of course.
Yeah. It's actually sort of interesting when you first get there. It's like the last of the interactive people are sort of leaving, but you notice how the interactive have more money.
And the interactive, again, they're like the app people.
Yeah, it's a lot of that tech industry. I know it's sort of a amorphous term.
Yeah. All right, but your focus was the music. So give us some highlights or lowlights in the sort of music realm.
Definite highlight has been Somebody's Child from Dublin. They sort of sound a lot. It reminded me of a lot of picking of aunts of like those sort of like Phoenix or Shout Out Louds and the sort of more emotional rock, but it's sort of a bigger sound. It was great because I really liked they had a record, a self-titled record that came out maybe a few weeks beforehand. They were supposed to play New York the week after, but visa laws for foreign artists to go into America are very difficult. It's actually one of the things about South by Southwest is because they don't actually pay the artists. You can get a tourist visa. And
that was a big issue this year.
That has been a big issue because it wasn't just the festival was doing that. It was big sponsors were not paying. And I think that was before COVID. And then it's, because then you can play sort of multiple dates. That's one of the things about South by Southwest. You can play multiple dates. I saw them. There are 2 dates. It's also a thing. The Southwest every year, it occurs around St. Patrick's Day. So I saw them at
and artists have been, complaining about that for a long time, and right.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. I mean, well, it's part of
compensation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The compensation issue. It's very odd because I think it was sort of these smaller acts. I am not an expert on what that all is about.
What I heard is for a lot of these smaller acts, it's like you can get paid this set amount. You can choose. You get paid this set amount. Not very impressive, but it's a little money. Certainly not going to cover the cost of going there. Or you can get paid virtually nothing and get a festival pass. So it's like terrible options on both sides. Which one are you going to choose?
And I don't know because sometimes also acts do that as part of a tour, or they're only there for a day, so they don't need a festival pass necessarily.
But if you're like an underground act and you're like maybe you're doing a few shows with like around, but you're probably there as much to be a music fan and just sort of get the lay of the land as anything. So they take that, but it's a little bit of a spit in the eye because at the same time they're propping up the cultural cachet of this festival. They're being cut out of the revenues. It's also sort of you don't need any specific act. They just need a whole bunch of them. So you're what negotiating position are you in if nobody's heard of you? You're not. There's not. And so wait, let me stop you there. So this started out as a highlight, Somebody's Child, and it really turned into a low light.
You're the one who got on
myself. That was my problem. I love the sort of labor narrative there to. Artist equity is a big story right now. But let me just switch gears. Let me give you another highlight from back in Boston, and to get things back on a more upbeat keel. So Green Velvet, Ted, have you ever heard of Green Velvet?
I think I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's a big Chicago based house musician.
Yeah, okay,
been playing music for years. And I saw him once or twice when I lived in Chicago, but he was touring through Boston, and he came through Big Night Live, which is one of those like shiny marquee kind of clubby venues.
Relatively new.
It's like right next to the Garden where the Celtics and Bruins play. So it's a real like shiny part of town. Not the kind of venue I typically go to, but I was like, what the hell? I'll do it for Green Velvet and check out this place I haven't seen before. The kind of place where they have bottle service, not my thing, right? And like virtually no one was taking advantage of the bottle service, but I did see one sort of cubicle of people, and it was a really embarrassing display of like bros and their like bro counterparts like being feting this scantily clad employee who was offering them anyway, it was embarrassing, but that's the kind of thing that you get when you go to those like velvet rope type clubs, and which I usually avoid for that reason. But Green Velvet, excellent. I mean, I'm not a big house music guy, but I know what I like, and I like this guy, known for just a big innovator, I think, in the in that genre, and always root for the local Chicago guy.
Yeah.
All right, so that's my highlight. Let me kick it back to you.
Oh, well, this is giving this little of a theme. I mentioned the Somebody's Child from Ireland, Green Velvet Green. One of the two of the best parties were, one of them was with Ireland, which happened. It was called Full Irish Breakfast. That happened to be on St. Patrick's Day. It happens every Friday.
Okay.
God, it was felt, because one of the things you've been talking about, the artists not getting paid, is that foreign governments, they would be, mostly from rich countries, will pay or will set up big showcases for their acts, and not just like nations like Ireland, or I went to New Zealand, but like Montreal did something. There's, and you really get that a lot of those, and those are fun because those are also better funded and sort of better working than other things, because a lot of other countries have real big arts programs.
You need that national funding.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's also because all those countries are smaller than America, and they don't want their place to be overwhelmed by Americans. Like, it's actually the one that, I mean, like even Britain does it. I mean, they do sort of, but like it's like based on, they'll have like one thing that's for Scotland, one thing that's for Wales. Like they'll do it for not just like London. That it's but that it makes, and South by Southwest, I think, is particularly well designed for that, because it's such an established festival, because you have your own venue, you can really run it. I remember, I think it wasn't this year, it was last year I did it. I saw something where the mayor of Austin was at, and he joked that he would go to every single country's thing to like,
nice,
because it was like,
I think that's great. That's like,
I mean, no, it was totally
like the what's that thing at Disney World where it's like the food court with all the countries.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's still mostly a tour of like richer countries, but though they've had some. I remember one year, I think it was 2017, when they were trying to push the Muslim ban, Muslim countries. They specifically had showcases that was like, this is all from countries that like they're trying to like ban people from coming in. It was, so yeah, you can definitely see like there's a lot of like for like the Japan, Korea, South Korea, Taiwan. They do great things that and you'll see, or a lot of Spanish language, Latin America and Spain, they will do big things, and because South by South.
Let me jump in here, because I'm starting to see a connection here with some of this earlier FOMO discussion. This notion of the backlash against this sort of gentrified class of music fans and artists that were able to attend these things because they just have more cash. These nationally funded sort of artist programs can do a little bit, at least, I think, in sort of countering that cultural result, because it's not on your personal personal cash reserves, whether you can like go and play these foreign festivals or not.
Yeah, and they don't necessarily, and they're not trying to get like, oh, some huge, Britain is not trying to have Elton John play their British music embassy South by South. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
That it's not where something, say, sponsored by a corporation, they want to have these big, they want to have the big acts that will make people fear they missed out. Whereas, yeah, these national things are sort of regional sponsors. And there's also, I've seen regional ones that are from within the United States. It's a little different, and sometimes it'd be sponsored by like, but
North Dakota.
Yeah, no, there's some state ones. Well, I think it's like, okay, there's, there, or it's about like from publications or from various things that are based in certain areas. They're always sort of like open doors, unless it's some weird like governmental, they're.
I'll keep an eye out for that. I haven't seen that like a state based kind of artist.
No, these aren't state based, and these are sort of organizations that, yeah, they're not like, oh, it's from government,
sort of like nonprofit organizations that maybe are like they can get government money, but but the artists aren't getting it directly from like a government run program.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difference between the United States and the rest of the world in terms of arts funding and stuff like that much more private.
All right, let me continue this because you sort of hit on this sort of Irish St. Paddy's Day green theme. Let me do a highlight of my own from that St. Paddy's Day weekend. I was covering a few shows, and I had the distinct privilege of doing a live review that I got to title Pissing Guinness. It's not often that I can get some really good quotes from artists from the stage, because half the time I can't tell what they're saying, whether they're singing or talking. But I got a really good quote from an artist who, let's see, they were playing the Monday after St. Paddy's Day weekend, and the artist was Daniel Cummings, I think, from the punk band Already Dead out of Boston. He said he was still pissing Guinness from the festivities. So I titled the article Pissing Guinness, and I put the lead photograph on it. Is pictures a Narragansett tall boy on top of a urinal next to an Already Dead sticker, which I happened to spot in the bathroom. Side note, it seems like bands are competing with each other to get their sticker closer and closer to the target point of urine, like down at the bottom of the urinal, like not even the top of it, but like closer and closer to where you actually aim. All right, end of side tangent there. But this was my highlight. But I want to pitch it to you because this is a punk band that is doing some interesting collaborations with a local rapper by the name Boss the Rapper, but BOS the Rapper. And they did a song together called Don't Wake Me, which was actually material that the collaboration had occurred before Already Dead's recent album My Collar Is Blue. So it goes kind of far back. And I've always, when I hear a sort of rap rock collaborations, it has a tendency to turn my blood cold. Where are you on rap rock collaborations, Ted?
Yeah, I'll admit that because there was a really bad trend of it that when we were younger in sort of the late 2000s.
Yeah, when was that? Yeah,
late 2000s. It was late 2000s because it was after hip hop had gotten big, and then it became the bands that had a DJ in them. Like, I mean, I think it was
a very confused time.
Yeah, and it was sort of it just didn't work, and it seemed very like music industry people came up with this idea, and it was very bro-y. I mean, I think the pinnacle, if you want, I mentioned Firefest, thinking Woodstock 99 and Limp Bizkit.
Yes. Yeah. Limp Bizkit.
On the deer of rap rock. But it's definitely, it's now, I think, because it that sort of sorted itself out to a degree. And there's another, especially because now it's people, then it was people who came up either in rap or in rock combining. Now it's especially younger people who listened to both growing up.
Mm-hmm.
They team up. Like there's a great artist with her, Kay Flay, who like I swear she's like she's like specializes in working with like indie rock bands as like the guest rapper on
Oh,
like
okay.
like I know she did something with God, I don't remember the name, but I remember she did something with Bat and Kim. She did something with some other people. Oh God, what was now killing me the band? This great song, You Can Get It, that is still stuck with I can't remember who. Canadian act. Arkells, I think. Arkells. Maybe it wasn't Arkells. Anyways. But that now it's a lot more organically done.
Mm-hmm.
It's and it's a lot. It's also a lot less cringy.
And it doesn't feel as bro-y as it used
Yeah,
to
it doesn't
do.
feel
Like
as
you don't
bro-y.
feel like you're in the middle of like a raging like frat party.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
when you're listening to that music.
Yeah, it's a lot more. Yeah, these are people who came. Yeah, I mean, like Kay Flay is a woman. It's also not as, oh, okay, the rapper's black, the rock band's white.
Right. If you want to take it all the way
Well,
back to what was that? Rap this
oh
way.
yeah,
What was
yeah,
that
yeah.
song
Walk
with
This Way.
Aerosmith and Run
Aerosmith.
DMC?
Yeah, which in and of itself was a seminal moment because it was like introducing hip hop to like it was the first time hip hop was on MTV or something like it was but in of itself. But then it's almost people were chasing.
Very influential early collaboration. Yeah. You can also talk about Bring the Noise with Anthrax and Public Enemy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was,
you know, those were some really good starts to the rap rock collaboration. So I don't know what happened that it just like went to Limp Bizkit levels.
I think it was like any art movement where it starts as this sort of outsider original thing, and then everybody jumps in on it, and then also a lot of attention and money follows it, and it just becomes copies of copies.
So maybe much like Southwest, maybe the fever pitch has been reached, and maybe we've moved beyond that. And now you can start to sort of really appreciate it for what it is, and don't worry about what it is not.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely. I can remember, yeah, like yeah, there was definitely. I can remember there was the movie, but yeah, that it's sort of, yeah, it is interesting now. Though I think also one of the issues. It also works better now as viral singles. We've got a rapper on it, but the problem is, what do you do on tour? Do you just not have the rapper in it, or or
just have a backing track?
Do you have the person?
Which doesn't bother a lot of people. It bothers
me.
Like
a
lot of
because sometimes I've seen things where they'll then post, especially if you're sort of big enough that can have a screen behind you, they'll have footage of the person rapping. With the
or a hologram if you can afford it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So hologram would be. I mean, that's only
that'd be ideal.
Yeah. Yeah. But so then and which is something I've seen in like regular concerts where you have a guest star, especially when it's sort of like someone more famous than you or something that you can sort of put them where they're not going on tour with you for this one song, but you put the footage of them up there. It's a thing, and it was actually Raquel's. You Can Get It.
All right, so that was my highlight. Already Dead collab with Boss the Rapper. I saw them at Midway Cafe during South by Southwest, and maybe I'll end the podcast with a little clip from their new single "Don't Wake Me." All right, Ted, let me throw it back to you. Your choice. Let's end on one of your highlights or lowlights, whatever you like.
Okay, well, this is something I was going to mention. It's not my life, but we were talking about FOMO. Was one day at South by Southwest, Boy Genius, the sort of sad girl pop supergroup, played the Austin airport, and it was this thing the day after I flew in, so I missed them, and it was very, because it was like, and it was only like people, things that they were, on their phones were showing it. And it was definitely a neat thing. But it also felt like it threw back to those neat things that like you would have at South by Southwest of randomly seeing kind of, because they were
like big artists playing in the alley next to a pizzeria.
Yeah. Or surprise pop up. Like, and it was a real surprise. One of the issues is a lot of times these surprise things get leaked. And I once saw Usher was a guest star, but everyone at something years ago, but everyone heard him sound checking. So then that's what they came there for, and it was kind of, I would say it ruined it, like, because he was still great, but it changed what the vibe was.
Right.
Because
it becomes a big melee rush to get in.
Yeah, it was because he was playing with Afghan Wigs, who were sort of, sort of Seattle or grunge era thing, but everyone was there for Usher. Because then I later saw Afghan Wigs play a relatively small place just in New York, and Usher came on. That was a total surprise for like once, and it was like that because that's what you're shooting for with all of these FOMO things, and it becomes but it's very hard to pull it off. But anyways, my missing them was a low light.
Well, it just goes to show that even if you go to South by Southwest, you still have fear of missing out. I want to thank you, Ted, for joining us for another Humpcast, and I hope to have you back in the future. And I encourage everyone to check out QROmag.com for festival coverage and more. Thanks a lot, Ted.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining. Visit us at the site at humpday.news for good junk in art, politics, sports, and culture. Follow us on our socials, subscribe to the newsletter, sign up for the backyard, and for the love of God, remember, every day is hump day.
I don't need a home address, got a little homie, yes. That's why I ain't flown the nest. That's why I ain't flown the nest. I was built for life on the road, nights all alone, between the white lines, right rhymes for the soul. Different time zones, I'm dreaming. Different time zones, I'm dreaming. But what if the pen he earned became the pen he saved, that helped him write the verse that takes it all away? Cause right now, everything I write down's like a fight till the lights out. I'm in the ninth round of a 9-mic bout, but life's taking the bite out. Am I on the right route? I don't know, I might bounce. I don't know, I might sound crazy lately. I'm off of my rocker, I'm out of my head, so I'm hitting the bottle till I fall into bed. And I hope they find me safely. If I'm sleeping, please don't wake me. Just let me rest in peace. See where my dreams will take me. And I hope they find me safely. If I'm sleeping, please don't wake me. Just let me rest in peace. See where my dreams will take me. I wanna feel what it means to be. What it means to be free. Empty views that may seem like it's just a dream. What is real to me? Put me on a rocket ship, push me off and awfully quick. Label me an optimist, reaching for the peak before I see the storm that's blocking it. There's no other option when music is the hope and goals, and hoping is a lonely road. My heart on the stage like it's art on the page, but I'm gone soon as the doors are shut. Strapping my back with the weight of my statements, not perplexed to death, but to help others make it. I want to see blurred white lines become favorite moments. Share a bed with 100 souls and I don't know them. Smoke grenade and then we play in Colorado. You leave in Tennessee from all the whiskey out the bottle. I want to eat hamburgers and Hamburg. Damn right I wrote it down. Not every dream is a grandeur. In that moment of candor I shared a little something that always seems to make me smile. I'm sorry mama, got the soul of a wanderer. Heart full of dreams in my head to the monitors till my eardrums bleed, and a few friends to do it with me. No worries, I'll always come home to my city.